My arrival those long years ago was not through the typical means. I had no papers, no student visa. No, what I had instead was my mind. My ability to see further into the future than any scientists these men had ever encountered. That was Von Doom's passport into the new world, and my hosts were eager to harness it for their own goals.
General Masterson, Mr. Von Doom, welcome to the United States. I'm sure we're going to have a long and fruitful relationship.
I suppose we'll see, won't we?
They told me you were all business, Von Doom. Let's show you to the lab, then. This facility is less than an hour from State University, where you'll be attending classes most days. Study up, learn whatever you please. But your real work will be here for us. In these buildings, you'll have the finest technology in the civilized world at your disposal. And if we don't have it, understand, you can probably make it.
It's true, General Masterson, that I'm quite skilled at inventing what I need. You see, in my country, we do not have the luxuries you Americans are accustomed to.
Well then, we'll see that you get well accustomed to those luxuries yourself, son. Now, let's give you the grand tour and then we'll take you to the campus to fill out your enrollment forms. There's another student there we need to meet with anyway.
As I said, I saw this American arrangement as a chance to escape, to give myself a new beginning, as it were. And I knew why they wanted me. To maintain superiority in their conflicts with their enemies. But standing in that laboratory, I saw things I'd never dreamed would be within my grasp. And I realized that Von Doom would not be the only one being used in this bargain. And as simply as that, I put the troubles of the past aside to focus on my future. There was a wealth of education and knowledge being laid at my feet, and I would take it all in, to serve my own destiny. When I closed my eyes that night in my private dormitory room on the State University campus, I did not see the face of the soldier I'd killed. Did not feel my hands tight around his throat. No. All I felt was the embrace of my parents, both lost beyond the veil. And I slept like a baby.
I thought you were supposed to room with Reed Richards. Didn't you meet him that day?
Too much has been made of that. I did meet Richards in the university's science lab. He was the other student the general had mentioned. And yes, Richards did suggest that we share a dormitory room.
Being as we're both theoretical science majors, I figure it could be fun.
But General Masterson had already arranged for me a room with a secret soundproof lab attached.
I've not come here for fun, and I've no need for another in my personal space.
Sure. I understand. Nice to meet you anyway, Victor.
In truth, my first meeting with Richards left almost no impression. My thoughts were on the expanding horizons before me. It wasn't until a few weeks later, in class, that Richards truly came to my attention.
No, I don't believe that's what Einstein was trying to say, Victor.
I'm sure it wasn't, Professor, but it is what I am not trying, but actually am saying.
Then I'm afraid you've lost me, Victor.
Will wonders never cease? I'm saying that time is not a flowing river the way it appears to us. Time exists as a constant. But most humans' minds are unable to perceive it in any capacity other than the most linear. In essence, we are then time's prisoners.
So you believe that time is a physical dimension? Is that what you're saying?
Of course it is. There are many planes of existence, Professor, that we are as yet too blind to comprehend.
I have to agree with Victor, Professor Snurk. My own experiments have already scratched the surface of other realms. I believe that phenomena such as poltergeists and alien sightings may actually be instances where these planes of reality are briefly visible to the human eye.
Do you indeed? That's quite a statement, Reed.
Yes, it is, Richards. But when I need your assistance on an argument, I'll ask for it.
Richard's intellect was clearly to be respected, but he was so wide-eyed about the outer planes of reality that surround us, so like a child. But I knew the things dwelling there wished us anything but happiness. And that innocence of his disgusted me, because I saw it reflected around me, all over the college campus. These insipid Americans, caring about nothing but sports and beer and manufactured romantic melodrama. The crying girls, distraught over the latest pitiful breakup. The cheerleaders cheering for empty victories. All so pretty and vacant.
Did you hear his accent? So sexy. Did you hear his accent?
Of course, I could have had any of them, at my whim. I was handsome and confident, and more than that, I was foreign.
So sexy.
But while I had no interest in these common American pursuits, I did develop a small group of followers. Students who felt honored to merely assist in my experiments.
You sure you don't want to come along, Victor? Should be a real blast.
I can only imagine, Kurtz. But no. I have work to do. Have fun.
To my surprise, the military base where my other work was done was filled with much the same insipidness that I found at school. They were so pleased with themselves that they couldn't imagine I might have my own agenda. Couldn't imagine that not everyone in the world longed to be part of the American dream. And that made it so easy for me. I had but to give them the smallest breakthroughs.
And you say we can program these for combat?
It's still early yet, General. But I do foresee that, yes.
And anything I wanted for my private laboratory was mine for the asking. Someday soon, I was sure, I would have everything I needed for my true breakthrough.
Mother.
So it was that 3 years passed. Years of study and experimentation and careful deception. And I must confess, while I remained focused on my mission, I also grew cocky as my intellect sharpened. I forgot my destiny was tied to that of the Von Dooms who came before me. I forgot why I'd left my homeland. And in my arrogance, my complacency, I let my guard down for one night.
No way! Victor Von Doom at a kegger? I must be drunk already.
Please, Kurtz, let's not make a production out of it. I merely wanted to see how the other 99.9% live for a change. Tell me that isn't that oaf Ben Grimm surrounded by all those cooing females?
Sure, Ben's the big man on campus, you know? Football star and all.
Yes.
But you know, there's a few cute numbers that have been dying to meet you. Hell, I've been getting action just telling them I'm your assistant.
I can't recall exactly how it happened, which I suspect is the result of my first sampling of alcohol. But somehow I found myself walking the grounds with a beautiful girl, whose name I also can't remember. I was bragging, telling her of my days in Latveria, telling her what the future had in store for me. Then she kissed me, differently than I'd ever been kissed before. Not gentle, like Valeria's kisses. No, there was nothing gentle about this girl. Not that I minded. But when I looked into her eyes, I didn't see the beauty and intelligence of my mother, or of Valeria. I saw only emptiness. And I couldn't allow it.
Hey!
This vacant little cretin could not be the one to get behind Von Doom's defenses. Her empty eyes pleaded, but I felt nothing for her. No pity. Nothing. And I thought, what kind of man am I? Am I some kind of demon? And I remembered my mother. And I remembered the last night in Latveria. And that, and nothing else, saved a pitiful creature's life. She fled, and I awaited whatever actions would be taken against me, conjuring a story which would convince the authorities of my innocence. But no authorities ever came, and indeed the girl in question was never seen at the school again, at least not by me. Perhaps her shame overwhelmed her, as well it should have.
The incident at the end of junior year, her name was Sandy Bidwell, and she didn't quit school. She was forced out. Apparently, she tried to press charges against Victor, but someone tipped off his military connections. And between the school administration and the government, the whole thing was hushed up. Next thing you know, her folks are yanking her out of school, driving her home in a brand new Rolls Royce. Victor just continued his studies like nothing had ever happened, but a few of us knew, and it changed everything for us. Victor went from being this eccentric foreign exchange student whose quirks we mostly just tolerated, to someone who literally scared the hell out of us. And these military backers of his, they knew too, and they didn't care. They just wanted whatever they could get out of that twisted mind of his.
And between the school administration and the government, the whole thing was hushed up. After that, I withdrew even more into my studies. That momentary lapse would not be repeated. I would not let this place, these Americans, get to me. And if, from the outside, I appeared isolated, I assure you, I was not lonely. And my work for my benefactors was outpacing even their high expectations.
When standing on the portal, one would be able to traverse back through time.
Amazing. And how far are you from perfecting this?
Not far. That chimpanzee arrived on the platform yesterday, and according to my notes, I was planning to use him as my first subject early next week. So...
Wait, which one are you talking about?
they're one and the same, General Masterson. One is simply from a week in the future. So, as I say, it stands to reason that by this time next week, I'll have completed a successful test. At least.
Von Doom, you are a wonder. If the Richards kid turns out to be half as valuable as you have.
Richards? I thought he turned you down.
He did, but we came to an arrangement last week anyway. Richards wants in on the space program, so he'll do some work for us to help his chances there.
Well, keep him out of my way.
Victor, I keep everyone out of your way. That's how we like it, don't we? Now explain to me why these haven't gone live yet.
There are some internal logic problems with the artificial intelligence that I'm still trying to work out.
What's the problem?
Well, they think they're people, General. And that makes them harder to program.
Do they?
Not to worry, I'll have it worked out soon enough. Now, let me show you that stealth bomb we talked about.
In truth, much as I loathed the men I worked for on that base, the work itself was quite fulfilling. As was the work I did in my private laboratory, which was poised for a breakthrough that none could have expected. A breakthrough that would strip reality down to its essence, that would allow Victor Von Doom access to all planes of existence, where I would free Mother from an eternity of torment in the nether realms.
Victor? You around? What? My God. How did he... But that's not... This is so far ahead of the curve.
What the hell are you doing in my private quarters, Richards? Besides snooping through my work?
Hey, Victor, sorry, the door was open and I just couldn't help myself. You're working on dimensional warps and matter transmutation, right? But some of the equations didn't make any sense to me. What language is that?
Perhaps you've confused me with someone in need of a collaborator, Richards. But I assure you, I'm not. Get out, now!
Of course, Richards couldn't understand my equations, because I'd gone beyond pure science, where his intellect was stuck. I'd finally found the synthesis between my mother's magics and science that I dreamed of as a youth. That was going to open the door for me, and I was foolish enough to believe I was prepared for what was behind it.
You sure about this, Victor? I can't monitor the energy levels the way it's set up.
Just shut up and do as you're told, Kurtz.
Sure, I helped him. Told you I was scared to death of him. So I flipped the switch and the whole place flew to hell. Cost me my degree and an eye.
It just blew up right away then, like the report said?
Actually, no, it wasn't right away, really. Time seems to freeze. And Victor looked like he was disappearing or like he was covered in static. And for a moment, just before everything exploded, I could have sworn I heard him say something.
But mother, please. I'm so alone.
It was not like anything I'd expected. I thought for the first few hours that I would lose my mind. Finding her would be like catching a single drop of rain falling into the ocean.
Mother!
But at last, after what seemed like weeks, I caught sight of her. Surrounded by fire that held no heat, but still managed to burn her constant tears.
Victor. No. Not my beautiful boy. Not here. Why has Warner let this come to pass? I begged him.
But I came to save you, mother.
You must not be here, my son. You must flee. You must forget me.
But, mother, please, I'm so...
As terrible as her fearful rejection was, the reason for her fear was many times more terrible.
Who is this filthy little morsel, Cynthia? Not the beast that stewed in your black loins.
Oh, mercy, my liege. I beg.
What do I see?
No.
Trespassing.
No.
I do not, of course, remember the explosion. But I'll never forget the scream in my mother's throat that preceded it. The next thing I remember is waking up a few days later in a military hospital. Within hours of consciousness, the dean of the university was at my bedside. Not to comfort his prized student, no, but to inform me that I was expelled, that I'd nearly cost Kurtz his life, that I was a disgrace, and on and on. I stopped listening, because I didn't care anymore. And I didn't care when General Masterson stopped in later to tell me that my expulsion would not affect my work for his people. I didn't care about anything but my failure, my weakness. Days passed without a word from me. I was still lost in that hellish realm in my mind. agonizing over my every misstep. And when I removed my bandages, the agony only grew worse.
No, damn it, no!
My face was ruined, but worse still, in my scars I could still feel the demon's claws touching me. And when I looked at what was left of me, the cold fire touched me to my soul, and his voice echoed in my mind, accompanied by my mother's screams. I had lost all my years of planning and work, and I was but a bumbling fool. A fool who would never be able to look at himself in the mirror again. A week later, locked in my bitterness, I was plotting my escape. I would not stay here, would not work for these smug Americans. It was my reliance on their technology that had weakened me. Their effusive praise that made me think I was more than I was. That I was ready. And since they had taken everything that had mattered from me, I would leave them with nothing as well. All my inventions, my breakthroughs, every scrap of knowledge I'd amassed for their use, would be destroyed.
Self-destruct in T-minus 55 seconds.
What in the Sam Hill is going on here, soldier?
The lab, General. Von Doom's lab.
My God. Sergeant, get me Von Doom right now. I want that bastard in chains.
Can't find him, General. He's vanished.
That little son of a bitch.
And so it was that I left America a broken man, with no thought that I would ever see my homeland again.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Does it hurt much?
More than you can know.